I know you had some reaction to how Dabo Swinney handled this, and I'd love you to share that reaction.
Yeah, and Greeny, this is not about Dabo Swinney's heart or his intentions. It's about his judgment. And coaches say all the time that they're about accountability and no excuses, no rationalizations. And that's all I felt that Dabo Swinney's statement were excuses, rationalizations, and a lack of accountability. There was no expression of regret or apology for the way that racial slur was handled and the fact that it happened. I mean, just look what he said just right there, that if the slur was used at a player, the coach would be fired immediately. The fact that it was used in front of a player and repeated, well, that's different and resulted in no discipline. And he actually said in that statement that a story broke and it was not in context. Well, that's not true. The story was brought out by a former Clemson football player. And the Clemson football player, Kenyon Tuttle, was negatively affected and hurt by that, not just by the incident, but by the handling of the incident. And Swinney, first of all, he said twice, I didn't know anything about it. It didn't occur in front of the whole team. So the coach apologized and we moved on. And clearly one of his players, at least one of his players, didn't move on, but there was no expression of regret that was a hurtful incident or that it could have been handled differently and perhaps should have been handled differently. And I took exception to that. I don't think that was a way to show accountability, to show any regret, or to show an awareness of the sensitivity of the matter.
RC, you're very close to college football. While you cover the NFL for us, you're close to college football and around a lot of people. What was your reaction?
My reaction is that Dabo Swinney suffers from an enormous amount of privilege that he won't acknowledge. Dabo Swinney did exactly what Jay Bilas said. He came on and he gave rationale and he gave reasoning and excuses as to why things were handled a certain way. He never actually put himself in the place of his players or put himself in those that oppose racism. See, I grew up in the NO, and I grew up around white guys, and I always hated this term, white guys that they would say would act black. And those guys were close friends of mine, and we would hang out and we would listen to music that may use the N-word. And as they would rap the song, they would make sure they skipped over that. Or you even look at the way that people who are aware of certain situations approach them, and Dabo Swinney is not doing that. And so Dabo Swinney thinks that the way he handled this is correct because he's not listening. Dabo Swinney thinks that he is a good man. Dabo Swinney knows that he is a Christian. And so what Dabo Swinney thinks is, long as I am not racist, I'm a part of the solution. But that's not where you can stand in football. Unless you are anti-racism, anti-N-word, and for the fight for equality, then you are standing against it. And right now, Dabo Swinney is giving us all the reasons that he is part of standing against it without even trying.
There was one other piece of this story that came up over the weekend. Dabo Swinney also addressed a photo that surfaced on Saturday in which he was wearing a T-shirt that read, "Football Matters." Here's what he said.
I had a T-shirt on that someone took a picture of me that asked to take a picture, and it's a shirt I've had for a couple of years. It's given to pretty much every coach by the National Football Foundation, and that's been their promotional thing, I think, since all the way back in 2014. And I would just say any insinuation that I was trying to mock the Black Lives Movement, Black Lives Matter movement, it is just an attack on my character. Just an attack on my character, and really sad.
Jay, what's your reaction to that?
Again, a stunning lack of accountability. There's no expression of regret for the insensitivity or lack of awareness shown in wearing that shirt, especially in today's climate.
Yes.
All it was, hey, it's about me. Sort of, it's an attack on my character, and that's really sad, basically putting on anyone who would question that. And the truth is, it was poor judgment to wear it. And it was poor judgment in his statement not to acknowledge that and be accountable for it. His program is being attacked. My character is being attacked. It's just this sort of excuse-making and lack of accountability. And it shows, really, when he talked about the psych sit-in, the accountability is on the players. It shows that accountability is for players it's not for coaches. And I felt like Dabo fell way short with his statement.
Ryan?
Yeah, I think Jay is spot on there. And what we're in a time now, we're in a time of intention, in a time of intentionality. And I don't necessarily believe it was Dabo Swinney's intention to mock the Black Lives Matter movement. But I know it wasn't his intention to not do it. I know he wasn't trying to be extremely aware about the way that he moved, about the way that he showed himself, about the way that he was perceived. Because if your mind is truly on being a supporter, if your mind is truly on the young black men that you go into the homes of their parents and says, I'm going to look after him, I'm going to care for him, I'm going to want the best for him. If my mind is on that, then I'm going to make sure I do nothing that stands in opposition of them getting everything that they deserve. So when Dabo Swinney put on that shirt and it said football matters, and when you win championships and when you beat the great Nick Saban, you are not a stupid human. Dabo Swinney is intelligent. He understood how that could be perceived. He understood how people could feel that was a way to mock what's going on in society today. So all he's given us is excuses and rationale, and now he wants to play the victim. That has been the life of black people for a very long time. Excuses, rationale, and then when you lash out, we play the victim. Dabo Swinney is white privilege all over the place, and he's not holding himself accountable, but his players for things they had no control over.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.